All right, so I got another one. So what I was leaning towards is that I won't keep harping on this, but I think that what has actually stabilized American society and then the world abroad has been a lot of the man share, the lion's share, had been the American African contribution, both the abstract, that's the soft, not nothing soft about soft, but just the abstract, loving, soft, uh, the culture that would be like when you have a skill, right? Like say you're a driver, your social skills and your managing and your social skills and your diplomacy is called the soft skills. That's what's important, like to for a forward facing job, like as a bus driver. The diplomacy is very important. The leadership is very important. That's called soft skills. Then the actual managing of the bus, the labor, the soft skills is also labor, but the actual physical objective labor as like a skill and a rigor is the hard skill, the hard aspect. So I'm not saying soft as though weak. I'm not saying that, but the hard and the soft engine of American society that is viable and has stabilized the world over about off the strength of the dollar, but also the infrastructure and the influence, and then the contribution of American society. Generally speaking, not to there's an exception to all things and a light and dark to all things. So American society has caused a lot of pain and mayhem the world over. Even the contributions of American Africans have potentially been felt as pain to other people. Just if you were to just speak in terms of military, is that we've had American Africans in our military, and other people have lost their life and also suffered mayhem from that. I met a man when I was considering working in the military, an American African, like a cold dude. He was like a young guy, and actually he didn't want me doing what I was doing because he didn't want me to get injured doing it, and he didn't want me to not take it seriously. But he had at least like 10 or 20 confirmed kills under that were attributed to him as a young person, probably less than he was probably less than 25 years old when I met him, and he was back from Iraq at that time. I think Afghanistan was going on, but Afghanistan wasn't as faint. It wasn't as hot. It wasn't presented in the media as hot as it later would be presented in the media. At that point, Iraq was more formidable, but what was going on behind the scenes in Iraq and Afghanistan may be different than what we're told. But he actually had at least like between 10 and 20 people that had been confirmed as killed by him in the early 2000s when I met him. But he actually took an interest in me and didn't want me to be doing some of the things I was doing just based on my health. Is that he recognized something? I actually had something that was going on. He was in a medical capacity when I met him, and he recognized something that nobody else could recognize that would perhaps be dangerous. And because of how he engaged me, it changed. It actually changed the trajectory. I couldn't have changed the trajectory the way that my trajectory ended up being changed if I wanted to, but because of his influence and what he had to say, and what just something very subtle that he had to do about who I am, it changed the outcome of my life. And I actually might not be sitting here on this camera. I mean, I'm not trying to give myself like stripes and like cred that I didn't earn, but where I'm sitting making this video from, either professionally or just in terms of having the opportunity to be alive, but also just professionally, I wouldn't have the history in life that I have in the background that would make me the person I am and viable to make this video right here. I may be better or worse or not here for not meeting that person, but I wouldn't be here as I am because of that person. And he had at least 10 to 20 kills that were attributed to him, and he was an African American brother. But I just wanted to say that. But he took an interest in me, and he showed me love that changed my life. But just to say that, so people have felt pain also from the contribution of American Africans the world over. And not to say that he wasn't just or righteous for being a military combatant and his reasons for joining and serving what he appreciates as his nation, but other people have felt pain from that also. And so you can say that for anything that's light, there's a dark, but American society would not be what it is. And what is enjoyed of American society as a byproduct in America, the world over, would not be uh, uh, viable without the contribution of American Africans. That's my taste. And there's a lot of things, there's a lot of statements that I could say and other people could say better than me that could support that. But a lot of that is what can be appreciated as like the soft version of culture and in the labor. But a lot of that is coming out of the black community and the black church, which are not entirely different going back. But some things have changed significantly about that now. And now there's some things in society that are not as viable in terms of culture go and how culture informs behavior. That if you take it back and extrapolate, it may constitute some of the failures of the community and who the community is producing of ourselves and of itself. That has changed in the last decades significantly, especially as the black church goes. It's been appreciated going back that the black church is the center of the black community going back, and that may still be the case, but differently now, but that's a lot to do with what America is. However, when I was in the black church, a lot of times, sometimes people do different things that are manipulative and somewhat sketch and off. And one thing is like when you have followership, like I see this on YouTube sometimes, and you start like challenging the followers, like, well, this is my channel, this and that, and if you're not interested in this channel, you don't have to be here. But yet you're always telling the people in the community, but don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that more people can come here and be interested. Or so this is the church, and don't forget to tell your community members. And if you have anyone at work that's interested in coming to church, bring them along because we're always welcoming new members, and we're trying to grow so that we can get into that new building. So you'd like people to come, but if you don't like the message, you don't have to be here. That's actually manipulative. So get away from me. Come back to me. Get away from me, but don't go too far, and don't forget to bring your friends. But get away from me. That's manipulative. And sometimes in the black church, they would do that. Like even people that would have high titles beyond what you call pastor or preacher, and then their oversight, when they would sometimes show their face, they say, so this and that and this and that. But sometimes, but I'm not afraid to kick any one of you out of here right now on the spot. I have one of you in mind, but I'm not going to call you out right now. But I have one of you in mind to say something like that to an entire congregation. But also one time along that vein, someone saying, if you're not being fed here, go somewhere else. That was significant that he said that. I'm the type of person usually to take people up on their word if it's a congruent challenge that's viable and there's a good reason to extend that challenge. I usually would take someone up. So when he said that, that inspired me to pick up other influences. When at that time, a lot of times in church settings, they'll have people almost scared to read. I've met people in different lines of work that also come from the black church and black community and are religious, not necessarily black. Also, some of my friends, like that woman I referenced that I had a crush on, who was part of like the Catholic Church, and they'll be afraid of other doctrines or other literacy, other written material that is copied, that is not part of the Christian canon or the Judeo-Christian canon. They'll be afraid to lay a finger on that and engage that. Almost scared to read. So you're scared to read and write at that point. Who made you scared to read and write? But it's to our prerogative what we choose to pick up and not. And there can be dangers of any influence, even what's considered as spiritual. Even the works of Arthur Avalon say that there can be dangers attendant in approaching spiritual matters. He says that at the beginning of his book, The Serpent Power. But when he said that, that actually made me leave a Bible study on a Wednesday night and go to a used bookstore of all places directly as he had said that. And then I picked up the works of Arthur Avalon, no less, and I learned about India. But one thing about India that Arthur Avalon said is that a real student, an authentic student of religion and or philosophy may directly or indirectly find themselves a student of India if you appreciate what India has to offer and what you will gravitate to if you truly are interested in the love of wisdom for wisdom's sake and for love's sake, and the love of faith and worship and improvement and excellence for the sake of faith, worship, excellence, and improvement and humane outcomes. You may find yourself in India. Also, if you appreciate how great Martin Luther King was, you can trace his influences back to Mahatma Gandhi. I would conjecture that Mahatma Gandhi was influenced by Swami Vivekananda, and I would conjecture and extrapolate that a lot of them were influenced by the Jaina people of India, that is that exemplify ahimsa, non-injury to any being, as being the principle that amounts